My name is Angela, and for 15 years I've watched my family's legacy crumble while the man who destroyed it grew richer. They called my father's death an accident, but I saw the truth in my mother's tear-filled eyes. Today, at 35, I'm executing the plan we designed together, a revenge so precise it will dismantle an entire corrupt empire. This isn't just about justice. It's about family redemption. The Carter family had built their construction empire from nothing, starting with her father James's single pickup truck and growing into the largest Black-owned construction company in the state. Angela Carter learned the business at her father's knee, mastering everything from architectural design to contract law. But their success attracted Robert Hawthorne, a ruthless developer who coveted their prime downtown properties for his luxury high-rise projects. When James refused Hawthorne's aggressive buyout offers, the systematic harassment began. Mysterious safety violations appeared on job sites that had operated flawlessly for decades. Key clients abruptly canceled multi-million-dollar contracts. Then came the personal threats photos of Angela's children playing in their yard, anonymous letters warning them to accept reality. The final blow fell when James Carter died in a suspicious construction site accident. The official report called it misfortune, but Angela saw the fear in the workers' eyes and the too convenient timing. At the funeral, surrounded by her mother, brother, and young nieces, Angela made a silent vow. She would preserve the business, protect her family, and wait for the perfect moment to expose Hawthorne's corruption. For 15 years, Angela operated strategically, maintaining the appearance of a struggling company while secretly compiling evidence. She discovered her father's hidden archives, meticulous records of Hawthorne's corruption network, including bribed inspectors, rigged bids, and systematic targeting of minority-owned businesses. Each document was carefully preserved, each financial trail documented with the precision her father had taught her. Angela watched Hawthorne's empire expand, noting how each Carter property became luxury developments that displaced longtime residents. She observed Hawthorne's children inheriting the corrupt practices, expanding into local politics and financial institutions. But Angela waited patiently, understanding that true vengeance required overwhelming evidence and impeccable timing. Her opportunity emerged when Hawthorne announced the Legacy Towers project, a development that would demolish the last Black-owned businesses in the historic district, including the community center James Carter had helped construct. The project represented the final erasure of their family's legacy from the neighborhood they'd helped build. Angela, now an established business owner, began activating the network she'd cultivated over years. Her brother Marcus, a skilled architect, used his professional access to gather contemporary evidence. Her cousin Rachel, a financial analyst, traced the modern money trails. Together, they constructed a case spanning 3 decades of systematic corruption. They discovered Hawthorne's operation had evolved while maintaining its core patterns. He still utilized shell companies, still bribed officials, still employed intimidation, but now with digital sophistication and international connections. The evidence James Carter gathered years earlier provided the foundation, but the Carter family spent 2 years building the contemporary case. Angela's strategy was deliberately methodical. She avoided direct confrontation with Hawthorne. Instead, she began leaking carefully selected historical evidence to his enemies, business rivals, betrayed partners, politicians he'd double-crossed. She observed as Hawthorne's empire developed cracks, his allies grew nervous, his operations turned desperate. The tension escalated when Hawthorne's daughter approached Angela with an offer to purchase the Carter Company archives, claiming she wanted to preserve local business history. Angela recognized the maneuver for what it was, an attempt to destroy incriminating evidence. Rather than refusing, she played along, feeding false documents while safeguarding the genuine evidence. As the Legacy Towers approval meeting approached, Angela prepared her final move. She assembled all the evidence, her father's original documents, her family's contemporary research, witness statements from dozens of affected families, into a case so compelling that nothing could save Hawthorne from its impact. The night before the meeting, Angela visited her father's grave for the first time in years. "The waiting ends tomorrow, Dad," she whispered. "Our family is strong, our evidence is ready, and everyone will finally know the truth." She placed a single white rose on his headstone, repeating the gesture he'd made every anniversary of their company's founding. The city council chamber buzzed with nervous energy, every seat occupied and people lining the walls. Angela Carter stood calmly near the front, her professional demeanor belying the storm about to be unleashed. She watched Robert Hawthorne arrive with his usual entourage of lawyers, architects, and political allies, all radiating the arrogant confidence of people who believe themselves untouchable. Hawthorne began the meeting with slick presentations showing digital renderings of legacy towers, complete with promises of economic growth and urban renewal. He spoke of progress and revitalization using carefully crafted language designed to mask the destruction of community heritage. Council members who owed their positions to Hawthorne's financial support nodded along, already mentally rehearsing their approval speeches. When public comment period arrived, Angela didn't rush to the microphone. She waited until Hawthorne's team had fully committed to their narrative, until every hollow promise hung in the air like cheap perfume. Then she stood, carrying a simple tablet that contained enough evidence to rewrite the city's power structure. 15 years ago, my father James Carter stood where I stand now, Angela began, her voice clear and steady despite the emotions churning within. He warned this council about the systematic destruction of our community's character. He was ignored, then silenced. Today, I bring you the evidence he died to preserve. What followed was a meticulously orchestrated revelation that held the entire room captive. Angela started with her father's original evidence, photographs of Hawthorne's operatives vandalizing construction sites, recorded conversations about bribing city officials, financial records showing money trails to corrupt inspectors. Each piece was time-stamped, authenticated, and presented with forensic precision. Then she introduced the contemporary evidence her family had gathered. Her brother Marcus displayed architectural analyses proving how Hawthorne's developments systematically destroyed historic, Black neighborhoods while violating multiple building codes. Her cousin Rachel presented financial records showing money laundering through offshore accounts and shell companies. They played recordings of Hawthorne's children discussing how to neutralize the Carter problem, using the same tactics that had killed their father. The room descended into chaos as Angela revealed that Hawthorne's developments weren't just corrupt, they were environmental disasters waiting to happen, built on contaminated land with falsified safety reports. She showed how his luxury towers had fundamental structural defects that endangered future residents, how his promised green spaces were actually toxic waste sites covered with thin layers of soil. Hawthorne tried to interrupt, shouting about defamation and threatening lawsuits, but Angela continued uninterrupted. She anticipated his every move, prepared for every possible objection. When he threatened legal action, she revealed she'd already filed federal racketeering charges. When he called her evidence forged, she produced original documents with verification from 3 independent forensic experts. The turning point came when Angela played a recording none of her family had known existed, her father's final message, recorded hours before his death. James Carter's voice, strong and clear, detailed every aspect of Hawthorne's criminal operation and ended with these words: "If anything happens to me, know that I built this business for our community, and I trust my Angela to protect what we created together." Double quotes. In the stunned silence that followed, federal agents entered the chamber. They moved not toward Angela, but toward Hawthorne and 4 council members. The evidence had been submitted weeks earlier. The arrest timed for maximum impact. As handcuffs clicked shut, Angela looked toward her family in the audience. Seeing the tears in her mother's eyes, tears of relief after 15 years of waiting, she hadn't just exposed corruption. She had orchestrated its collapse with the precision her father would have admired. The revenge blueprint, designed by a father and executed by his daughter, was finally complete, proving that some justice might be delayed but could never be denied when truth and determination met. In the months that followed, the city underwent a transformation guided by James Carter's original vision rather than Hawthorne's greed. The Legacy Tower site became the Carter Family Community Complex, featuring affordable housing, vocational training centers, and a museum celebrating the neighborhood's Black architectural heritage. Angela, though initially reluctant to take center stage, found herself leading the redevelopment committee, ensuring every decision honored her father's legacy. The Carter children discovered profound healing in continuing their parents' work. Marcus launched an architecture firm specializing in community-centered development, training young Black architects in both design principles and ethical business practices. Rachel created financial literacy programs helping minority business owners protect their assets from predatory developers. Together, they built something more valuable than any single business, a sustainable model for community empowerment. Hawthorne's empire crumbled with startling speed. He received a 28-year sentence for racketeering, corruption, and environmental crimes, while his children faced their own legal consequences. The family's assets were largely distributed to the communities they had harmed through a restitution fund administered by court-appointed overseers. The victory felt less like celebration and more like restoration, the rebalancing of scales that had tilted too long toward corruption. Angela's most significant impact came through establishing the Carter Justice Foundation, which provided legal and technical support to families fighting predatory development. Using her father's meticulous documentation methods combined with modern technology, she created a replicable system for communities to protect themselves against corporate exploitation. The foundation's first major victory prevented a Hawthorne's developer from displacing a low-income Latino neighborhood, proving the Carter approach could protect any vulnerable community. On the 10th anniversary of her father's death, Angela gathered her family at the community center that now bore his name. Her nieces and nephews, now teenagers, understanding their family's legacy, recognized they were inheriting not just a story of tragedy, but a blueprint for resilience. The oldest, planning to study urban development like her grandfather, had already started documenting neighborhood changes for her college applications. The physical reminders of their struggle remained visible but transformed. James Carter's original construction office, once vandalized and abandoned, now housed the Carter Foundation headquarters. The site where he died featured a memorial garden where community gatherings occurred regularly. Even the council chamber where Angela confronted Hawthorne served as a regular venue for neighborhood meetings, its history reminding officials of their true accountability to the people they served. Angela's final lesson to a new generation of community activists contained the distilled wisdom of her journey. True vengeance isn't about destruction, it's about construction. Not about tearing down what harmed you, but building what should have existed all along. The most powerful revenge is creating systems where the injustice you suffered cannot be repeated. When the Carter family community complex officially opened, the entire neighborhood celebrated not just new buildings, but renewed hope. As children played safely where bulldozers once threatened, as families gathered where corruption once festered, the truth Angela fought to establish remained clear: that love outlasts greed, that community defeats corruption, and that some blueprints drawn with justice and executed with courage can withstand even death itself.